Welcome to Laricy Live. You want to know what's happening in the real estate market? Then this show is for you. I'm your host, Matt Laricy. Today, we are talking about the state of the high-rise market. Now, we did one of these high-rises with Melissa Siegel a couple months back. Maybe it was 6 months ago. I don't know. It wasn't too long ago. And, I thought it was a good thing to kind of check in on and give you an update on what's happening in the high-rise market, because the high-rise market was what was hit hardest. It is what has been the slowest sector and had the most inventory. So now that we're in 2021, we wanted to let everybody know how is that market different than anybody else. So we just took a lot of people's questions, a lot of our clients' questions, definitely a lot of our sellers' questions, and we put it here. So how would you describe the current state of high-rise market in Chicago? I wouldn't say it's terrible. I would say that it's definitely in favor of the buyers. So high-rise market today, buyer's market. I think it will be a balanced market by end of February, beginning of March. It is starting to get better, especially with this vaccine getting to be more popular, and hopefully Illinois, which currently sits at the 39th best state, which is not good, rolling out the vaccine. Hopefully more people get the vaccine. The high-rise market is definitely going to pick up. Is this different than other large cities, New York, San Francisco, et cetera? No, I mean, most high-rises across the country are still doing pretty bad. And I think, it's getting better. I know New York is actually doing quite solid, but it's not where it was. Is it what you expected? Yeah. I said that I think the high-rise market's going to be, challenging all year. I do think the high-rise market's going to come back, meaning that it's not going to be like terrible. I just don't think it's ever going to be in the sense where it's going to be like a hardcore seller's market. So what I thought would happen with the high-rises is kind of happening to the T. And it's slowly but surely going to get better and better as the days go on. How long of a lasting impact do you believe COVID will have on the high-rise market? Not long. There's 3 vaccines now. I think I've heard there's going to be a 4th. I mean, the minute they start pumping these vaccines out, the more people start getting it, the herd immunity happens, and boom, high-rise market's back. So, we're on the back stages, back half of this high-rise market being tough. So, honestly, if you're looking for a property and you want a high-rise, buy it now. You're not going to find a better time to buy a high-rise market. Well, the best time was in the fall, but from now for the foreseeable future, this is going to be the best time you could find a deal in a high-rise. Our high-rise listings having to do drop price points to sell. That doesn't make sense, but I think what you're asking me is, are high-rises having to drop their prices? Yes. They're not selling over ask price. You pretty much have to be at market value to sell. If you're pushing the envelope or think that your place is worth way more than what it is, you're probably going to sit. Are you ever advising sellers to drop their prices more than normal? Yes and no. Again, if you're overpriced, even in a good market, yeah, I'm going to tell you to sell or to drop your price. But if you are under market value and nobody's selling, then it's not a price issue, At a certain point, the price is the price and the market's the market. So if there's no market, there's no sense to drop the place to $1. We can all agree a property is going to sell if it's you listed at $1. The question is where does it have to be listed at between now, where you're at now, and $1 to sell? And that's what you have to figure out. Are buyers so uncomfortable with the idea of touring and living in high-rise markets? I mean, not really. It's not coming up as much as it was. I mean, a lot of people get awkward a little bit on elevators, especially if there's a few people or touching the buttons on the elevator, but otherwise, it's pretty normal. Are high-rise buildings doing anything to mitigate previous concerns? There's a lot of high-rises that don't allow a certain number of people in an elevator. There's a lot of high-rises that won't let us look at anything in the building, but otherwise, that's about as much as I could do. What's happening with high-rise building amenities? They're limiting them. Most like weight rooms and stuff like that, fitness rooms, are having a sign-up sheet. Obviously, party rooms aren't allowed. I would say Sundex would be allowed, but it's a negative something in Chicago, and it's going to be like that for a while, so it doesn't really matter there. But yeah, I mean, they're just kind of limiting the use of them. Is there any change up and down in monthly assessments for high rises due to COVID? No. I mean, generally speaking, your HOA dues are going to come up about 1 to 3% a year, but COVID's not going to have any impact on those. Do you think it will cause any lasting effects with high-rises in Chicago now? Again, COVID's impact on high-rises is short-lived. We will be back to normal before you know it. 2021, great migration back. 2022, you're the handshake. Remember I said that. Handshake's coming back in 2022. Which type of high-rise listings are selling right now? I mean, most of your entry-level stuff, your 250 to 750 is still like, I'm not saying it's doing good. I'm saying that it's doing better. The luxury high-rise market is really soft, like dead. You want a good deal on a $1 million plus high-rise right now? This is a great time. Which type are not selling? The luxury market. Again, I'm not saying it's not selling. Somebody's watching this, you're an agent. Like, yeah, I'm selling mine like hotcakes. Great for you. On average, though, you're looking at how many properties above $1 million are selling in River North, Shreveville, Gold Coast, Old Town, and the Loop, and New East Side. I mean, it's not a ton. I've sold a bunch too, guys. I've sold a lot of $1 million plus high rises this year. But I'm not going to tell you that the market's back on them. Just saying it's better than it was, but it's still the worst out of all the types for high rises. What are you telling clients that need or want to sell a high-rise listing right now? I mean, go on the market. Honestly, you're not going to sell off the market. We're in prime selling season. Mid-January, end of May, best months of the year, get it on the market. Maybe it sits and it doesn't move, but at least you tried. What are you going to do, put it on October? So if you want to sell, give it a try. If it doesn't sell, it sucks. I get it. Blows. Pull off the market, wait for next year. What are you prepping them for? I'm setting their expectations. I think I'm great at my job. I do. I work very hard. My entire life is dedicated to this industry. But I can't change the market. So I'm prepping them to say, like, listen, I'm going to do everything possible. I'm going to show you with actions what I'm doing. But the market kind of sucks for high rises. And there's a strong possibility it won't sell. And that has nothing to do with me, John Smith, Jill Smith, or, whatever Smith that lists it. It has to do with the market too. How does this different than what you're telling a client who has a non-high-rise listing? I mean, honestly, if you got a small building, 2 to 12 units, and you're priced pretty well, I mean, you should get good activity. So, it's a totally different conversation. Is now still the best time to list a high-rise listing? I think so. I do. I know the market's soft, but I mean, what else are you going to do? The highest amount of demand is now. Most closings happen in April and May. Give it a chance. Put it up there. See what happens. Again, September's going to be here before you know it. I know we all like to say, like, hey, you got plenty of time. You don't got time. The market's moving. Time is moving. Chicago's the most rent-heavy city in the country per capita. I mean, people are buying right now. Get it on the market. Who's buying high-rise properties right now? I mean, there's a lot of people. First-time buyers are a huge portion of the buyers for them. People who are renting. I am starting to see a lot of in-town buyers. I have 3 clients this weekend flying in that want to have a place in Chicago. That market didn't exist last year. I cannot wait for the international market to come back. Once June hits, I think the international market's going to be on fire. I really do. Call me crazy. A lot of people are rich as shit right now. Okay, look at the stock market. All-time highs. Do you think all that money's coming from people from America? Fuck no. A lot of people internationally. And they want to buy places. They want to take their money, put into an asset, and pump it into America. I'm sure it's probably some sort of money laundering scheme. Who knows? But I'll tell you right now, people want to get their money to America. What's the best way to do it? Buy some properties. Have an asset. Is it a smart time to invest in high-rise listings if you're looking to rent out a property? Yeah. I mean, the rents still kind of suck right now, but listen, you have to look at high-rises. You have to look at real estate like a stock if this is an investment, okay? If Apple drops tomorrow, you're not calling up Tim Cook and yelling at him saying, like, hey, how can you make Apple drop? What you're doing is you're buying an asset today. It's not going to probably perform as well for you in the next 12 months as it will 12 months from now, but what do you give a shit? It's an investment, okay? You're going to have good years, you're going to have bad years. That is part of having an investment. Anybody who has money, who owns a lot of investments, whether it be an investment portfolio in stocks and bonds, in real estate, you're going to know that you're not going to have the best year ever. Some years you're going to have down years. Buy now, you're getting a great deal on a property. You're going to have a low year on the high rises, and then next year you're going to fucking crush it. And you're going to be like, wow, I got my place for like 15% off value maybe, and now I'm getting a great rent. Seems like a big win to me. Buy when people are scared. Not as many people buying high rises do it. I'll tell you right now, I personally plan on buying 2 more high rise properties this year. I paid off 2 loans so I can make sure that I can be able to have a chance for an opportunity to buy into some high rises. I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is. How is the rental market for high rises? Slowing down, but it's still slow. It's not as good as it was last year, but I think it's going to pick back up in the next couple weeks. I'm not saying that you're going to, if you're getting $2,200 a month, you might only be getting $2,000 this year. But guess what? Like, it's better than the $1,600 we were seeing in the fall. Are there any guidelines what price points are selling in high rises and which aren't? We talked about this. Entry level are doing well. High rises or luxury's doing bad. Are buyers gravitating more towards boutique buildings? Yeah. Less units, less people. A lot of people are still nervous about this whole COVID situation, even though it's on its way out. I mean, yeah, people are definitely gearing towards more boutique. What exactly is causing the fear behind buying in high rises? Well, first off, a lot of people want to ride elevators still. I mean, even though I'm not seeing it as much, but I'm sure still there's people out there. A lot of people are still nervous that, like, what if we do get, like, locked up and then we're stuck in a box in the sky, even though I think the lockup days are over. But who knows? I mean, shit can change. And then you got the people, in general that, just want more outdoor space. And a lot of high-rises don't have that. And I think that's, what the fear is behind people buying in high-rises. Do you think this will be the death of high-rise buildings in large cities? Fuck no. No, this is stupid. I don't want to call anybody stupid, but that's a bad way to think. Don't be a knee-jerk reaction. They've been building high-rises since the dawn of man. Well, not the dawn of man. I mean, they've been getting big buildings together, though. People love big buildings. People love views. They're not going anywhere. If anything, it's bottomed out, and now it's coming back. What typically attracts buyers to high-rise buildings? People just like being close to action. If you're in a high-rise, you're close to action. You go to bars, restaurants, shopping. You get great views. You have nice amenities. It's easy. Like, listen, I personally love high-rises. I live in like a mid-rise now. I've always lived in a high-rise since my adult life. I love the fact that I could come home. I got door staff to take care of all my stuff. My packages are secure. I have that false sense of security that I'm going to be able to sleep easy at night. If I want, to go up to a party room and something like that, I have it. I mean, it's just nice to have it. And I think that's a lot of buyers think the way I do it. It's like, I don't want to deal with having to talk to Joe downstairs about paying his assessments. I don't have to do shit. I got a management company. Like, people who like convenience too. People like the finer things in life too. It's just, there's a lot of different reasons to like high rises. Again, there's also a lot of reasons to not like high rises. That's why, guys, they make red cars, blue cars, and black cars. Everybody's got their own opinion. What are top building amenities that buyers are looking for today? Outdoor space, fitness rooms. That's it. Those are the two main ones right now. What do you think would make your high rise listing more attractive right now? Price and showing well. Those two things. Just those two. Have it priced right. Have it show well. I can't tell you how many people's places I walk into and it just looks like crap. Or it's just, $50,000 overpriced. You got to be priced right too. How can you get the biggest bang for your buck in upgrading your high-rise listing to get sold? Small details. I mean, honestly, vacant listings that are dated are very tough sells in this market. So try to stage it. We virtually stage a lot of our clients don't want to stage, and honestly, it's tough because people walk in and they have no sense of imagination, and it's going to be dark out in Chicago by 3 o'clock. Pretty much from now to end of March, and that makes it tough. So I mean, make sure the place is staged well, and you can do small upgrades like paint your cabinets and do your backsplash. And sometimes it's a good idea and sometimes it's a bad idea. I mean, I could tell you I would do it. I do have some listings where I tell my clients not to do it because it's a slippery slope, or the white cabinets won't match the countertops and they won't match the floor and they look stupid. But I mean, there's small things. Work with your agent about what are the small things I could do for your place, because I'll tell you right now, every property is different. How are you managing your clients' expectations for high-rise listings that aren't moving? We talked about this. Like, the reality is the market's the market. You just got to make sure that you're educated on it, knowing that it's going to be tough. It is, but it's a numbers game. And I think this is the best time to sell. Get it on the market and see what happens. What's the showing traffic looking like for high-rise listings in Q1? We're averaging about one showing every 7 to 8 days. Some are less, some are more. But I would say it's about that. I mean, I think in the fall it was one every 21 days. So it's definitely better. I think it's gonna be one every 5 days by March. So, that'll be solid. I mean, I think average was 1 out of 3 days or 1 out of 4 days last year. So, I mean, it's not that far behind last year. Why are people not buying high rises? Oh, just spoke off for myself, but that's okay. Why are people not buying high rises? We talked about that. What areas have the most high rises? So there's certain sectors. How do I look? Am I good? I got cough over me? We're good, guys. Small mishap. The areas as the Loop and the New East Side have the most. So 8032 areas got the greatest amount of inventory, and it makes sense because that's where people go to work, and with people not working as much, the convenience of living there doesn't make much sense. So that's what has the most. Which of these is performing the worst? We just talked about that. I mean, the Loop is hands down the worst. That and the New East Side is getting crushed. When do you think high-rise market will be back to where it was before COVID? 2022, it'll be like back to normal. This year is just going to be like more of a balanced market most of the year. What are you hearing from other brokers about the high-rise market right now? It's tough. A lot of people call me asking me what to do. I get a lot of calls about that. It's people are a little bit nervous because, you take a lot of heat. When you sell a property, that seller's dependent on you. They hired you to do a job. If you're not selling the property, you suck in their eyes, right? You're only as good as your last at bat. To them, you can have the greatest reviews, the most sales, but if you're not selling their shit, guess what? You look like an asshole. I'm sitting right here, guys. Got a lot of sellers that hate me right now. It is what it is. I'm doing everything possible to sell that property. I got bags under my eyes. I'm trying to do what I can, but like I tell their agents when they bitch me about it, it's the market. Keep at it. It's a grind. It's a numbers game. You do it every single day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It's going to happen. You just got to keep hustling. Keep grinding on it. Are brokers avoiding taking high-rise listings? Yeah, there are some people who won't. They're like, hey, why waste the time? What's the point? I'm not. I'll take them. I believe in myself, my product that will sell it. But yeah, some people are avoiding them. Would anything make you turn down a high-rise listing right now? Yeah, I mean, price, personality. If I don't like the seller and they seem like they're difficult. I mean, I'm at a point in my career where I don't have to take every piece of business that comes my way. There's some times where I just know it's not a good fit. It's rare, okay, because I feel like I could work with anybody. But I mean, those would be the only two reasons. Like maybe 1 in 100 listings I'll turn down. Our brokers and price, guys, and price. If the place is worth $1 million and they want 1.7, I don't have time just to burn here. Are brokers still doing open houses and high-rise listings? Yeah, they're doing them. A lot of buildings don't allow them though. Are there stricter restrictions for these types of buildings? Yeah. A lot of buildings don't allow open houses. They don't let you tour the amenities. You have to have some buildings will make you give them 48 hours notice when you have showings, which suck because if you get a showing today and they want to go tonight, guess what? Can't do it. That's not as prevalent anymore, but it happens. Are there certain high-rise buildings that will always sell no matter what? There's a few buildings. There's some buildings that have really good reputations. I mean, 9 Walton's like a phenomenal building. It's a very luxurious building that people love. I mean, that's still pretty much untouched, so. But, I mean, it's I do think that we should feel a little bit more confident with where the market's going with these high rises. So, although, not one overall is selling more than others, it's looking to be better as a whole. What are the most popular high-rise buildings in the city? I mean, it depends what type of price point you're talking about. In a luxury market, like I just said, you got 9 Walton, 4 East Elm. There's just a lot of sought after buildings in the city that people really, really like, but it depends on which area, which price point. I mean, I can't bore you with all those ones, but if there's a specific area that you want to specify in a price point, I could tell you. What new developments are happening in the high-rise world to look out for? I mean, most of them have been announced. I mean, they announced at Reed in the South Loop. My group went and toured it. It was a very nice building. David Wolt's a great guy. He's on top of that one. But, I mean, you got 360 Erie that's still got to sell out. You got Superior House where I live. I love that building. Shout out to Superior House. You got the St. Regis. You got Bennett. There's a lot of them out there. They're all kind of struggling because the high-end price point. And there's a big international market that buys these high-rises, and that market's still dead as of today, but I think that's going to come back. Do you think new developments are going to struggle? The new one on State, One Chicago. That's a really popular one, actually, too. Do I think new developments are going to struggle in the high-rise market? Yeah. I mean, it's, as I said, the luxury market's tough, so the high-rise new construction property is going to be tough. Are luxury high-rises doing well? We talked about that. Have there been more COVID outbreaks in high-rise buildings? I haven't heard that. I'll tell you right now, I own 12 or 13 units in high-rises, and I get emails when the buildings have them, or, we saw a shit ton of high-rises, and a lot of my clients send me to them. to me. But whenever there's somebody getting COVID in a building, they usually send out an email, and I don't get that many of them. So I got to tell you, I don't think COVID and high rises have anything to do with an outbreak. What types of people are trying to move out of high rises right now? Mostly people with kids. It'd be like if you were young, you bought it, met a guy or a girl, popped out a kid. Now you're sitting there and you would have stayed there for a couple more years just because you loved like walking restaurants and shit. Those are the people moving to suburbs. That's the biggest number. You walk into a 2-bed, 2-bath condo, most likely you're going to see a crib in there or stuff about them having a baby. That's number one reason. I guess number two is moving out of state. A lot of people hate Chicago taxes, Illinois taxes. What can we expect for the rest of the year for the high-rise market? I think we can expect a better market than it is now. And I think that it is going to mostly be a balanced market. I don't think, even though a lot of the aspects of the city is going to be a seller's market through the hottest times of year, I don't think we're ever going to hit a seller's market. I do project us to be more of a balanced market, which I know doesn't sound great for any sellers out there that are selling a high-rise or want to sell their high-rise. But I'll tell you, a balance doesn't mean bad, guys. You can't always be in the best market ever. I mean, it means you got a chance to sell. That's the way to look at it. And I think the high-rise market and confidence is coming back. And as this vaccine gets out there more and as more people get it and the more businesses open up, the more attractive these high-rises are going to be. So that's it. That's all the questions. Hopefully you guys found this useful on the high-rises. If you guys got suggestions for any topics you want us to cover, shoot us a message on it. Comment on our YouTube page. So hit our bell, tune in our next episode, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for listening to Laricy Live. Make sure to tune into our next episode and subscribe to our podcast. Thanks for listening to Laricy Live.